Welcome to Spectrum News at 10. I am Emedion James, coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at some of the major headlines that we have for you today. President Tinubu revokes pardon for Sanda, 140 high-profile inmates. Federal government shortlist candidates for NSCDC, NIS, Fire Service CBT. Plus, Trump approves South Korea's plan to build nuclear-powered submarine. We'll bring you details of these stories and more in just a moment. Good morning and thank you for staying tuned. We begin the news from a national scene where President Bola Tinubu has withdrawn the pardon earlier granted to 175 convicts, including drug traffickers, kidnappers and frustrats, following public outrage to trail the initial clemency list released on October 11th. These came as the President ordered a review of the pardon granted at the National Council of State meeting on October 9, 2025. A statement issued by the President's Special Advisor on Information Strategy, Bayo Onanuga, said certain persons convicted of serious crimes such as kidnapping, drug-related offenses, human trafficking, fraud, unlawful possession of firearms and armed dealings, etc., were deleted from the list. Others who had been hitherto pardoned in the old list had their sentences commuted. According to the Presidency, the decision followed consultations with the Council of State and public feedback undertaken in furtherance of President discretionary powers under Section 175 and 2 of the 1995 Constitution as amended. Away from that, the Civil Defense, Correctional, Fire and Immigration Services Board has released the names of candidates shortlisted for the paramilitary agency recruitment computer-based test. This is contained in a statement by the Secretary to the Board, retired Major General Abdul Malik Jubrin in Abuja. Reports say the agencies are the Nigerian Correctional Service, the Nigerian Immigration Service, Federal Fire Service, and Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps. The statement urged candidates who applied for recruitment into any of the four paramilitary agencies to visit its official recruitment portal from today to check if they had been shortlisted. Meanwhile, in a bid to strengthen and upscale steel production, the Federal Ministry of Steel Development and Stellar Steel Company Limited have signed a joint strategic cooperation declaration of $400 million to construct a modern steel plant in Erekore, Ogun State. This was made known in a statement issued by the ministry explaining that the project will be developed in 3 phases, with the first phase expected to begin production by 2026. The Minister of Steel Development, Shaibu Andu, signed the agreement when he hosted Lee, president of Inner Galaxy Group, and other members of the Stellar Steel Company Limited at the ministry's headquarters in Abuja. From the Red Chambers, now where the Senate has confirmed President Bola Tinubu's nominees for the position of service chiefs. Those confirmed are Olufemi Oluyede as Chief of Defense Staff, Wahidi Shaibu as Chief of Army Staff, Idi Abbas as Chief of Naval Staff, and Kelvin Aneke as Chief of Air Staff. The confirmation followed a 2-hour closed-door session where senators questioned the nominees in their plans to strengthen national security and reform the armed forces. Earlier, President Tinubu has urged the upper chamber to screen and confirm the nominees. In line with the president's request, the Senate chamber dedicated its Wednesday plenary to the exercise, holding a closed-door session that lasted over 2 hours. Meanwhile, the National Assembly has approved President Bola Tinubu's request to secure a total of $2.347 billion from the international capital market to part finance the 2025 budget deficit and refinance manufacturing Eurobonds. Also granted was Tinubu's request to issue a $500 million debut sovereign sucre in the international capital market to fund infrastructure projects and diversify Nigeria's financing sources. The approval was given request after considering the report of both committees on aid, loans, and debt management. On judicial matters, Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court Abuja has ordered the permanent forfeiture of $49,700 recovered from a former resident electoral commissioner of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) in Sokoto, Nura Ali, during the 2023 general elections. Justice Nwite granted the order following a motion filed by the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC). While moving the application, counsel to ICPC Osubemi Akpomi Nisanga told the court that the commission had complied with an earlier interim order for the temporary forfeiture of the money. He said a public notice was issued seeking interested persons to show cause why the funds should not be permanently forfeited to the federal government as directed by the court. Akmonimi Sanga added that since the publication, no one had come forward to claim the funds or appeared in court to contest the forfeiture. We move now to Africa, where protesters gathered outside London's Downing Street to show solidarity with the people of Sudan as the country's brutal 2-year war enters a new and more dangerous phase. The paramilitary Rapid Support Forces (RSF) have seized control of the entire Darfur region, including the provincial capital El Fasher, the army's last major stronghold in the west. The fall of El Fasher had fueled fears that Africa's third largest nation could fracture once again, nearly 15 years after South Sudan gained independence following decades of civil war. Demonstrators in London called for international action and a boycott of the United Arab Emirates, which they accused of supplying weapons and support to the RSF, allegations the UAE denies. Still in Africa, counting got underway in Tanzania's general elections yesterday, following a tense day marred by violent protests. Police ordered a curfew in the commercial capital, Dar es Salaam, following the demonstrations. Internet services were disrupted across the country as videos of young protesters throwing rocks at security forces and a petrol station on fire circulated on social media. Incumbent President Samia Hassan is widely expected to strengthen her grip on power in the polls. Recall that she came to office after 2021 death of her predecessor, John Magufuli, and has left nothing to chance for her first presidential test. Let's move now to the foreign scene where U.S. President Donald Trump met Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Busan today, aiming to end years of trade conflict and restore stability between the world's two largest economies. The talks, their first face-to-face meeting since 2019, come as both nations were escalating tariff, technology controls and strategic rival in Asia. Trump's aggressive use of tariffs since returning to the White House for a second term, combined with China's retaliatory limit on exports of rare earth elements, has given the meeting newfound urgency. Both sides recognize that neither wants to risk blowing up the world economy in ways that could jeopardize their own fortunes. When the two were seated, Xi read prepared remarks emphasizing a willingness to work together despite differences. On the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump said today that he has U.S. President Donald Trump said today that he has authorized South Korea to build its first nuclear-powered submarine, marking a major shift in the alliance's defense cooperation. The announcement came a day after the two countries reached a broad trade deal and held talks during Trump's visit to Pyongyang for the APEC summit. Trump met South Korean counterpart Lee Jae-myung in the southern town of Gyeongju, where the U.S. leader arrived for a summit of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Forum. Yesterday, Seoul's presidential aide said the two countries had reached a broad deal covering investment and shipbuilding, while Trump said the agreement was pretty much finalized. Still to come in the news. Osimhen named greatest striker to ever play in Turkish Super League. Stay tuned for details of this in just a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned. On our business news, the World Bank Group says global commodity prices will plunge to their lower level in 6 years in 2026, marking the fourth consecutive year of decline. In its latest commodity market outlook, prices are forecast to drop by 7% in both 2025 and 2026 due to weak economic growth, a growing oil surplus, and policy uncertainty. although dwindling energy prices are easing global inflation, while lower rice and wheat prices are reducing food costs in some developing countries. Commodity prices remain above pre-pandemic levels. According to the Bretton Woods Institution report, commodity prices in 2025 and 2026 are projected to be 23% and 14% higher, respectively, than in 2019. World Bank's chief economist and senior VP for Development Economics, Inmates Gill, noted that falling energy prices have contributed to the decline in global consumer price inflation. Still in business, Manufacturers Association of Nigeria has stated that credit to manufacturing sector decreased by 9.5% to 7.72 trillion naira as of March 2025, down from 8.53 trillion naira in December 2024, amid a fragile recovery that requires urgent policy intervention to sustain. The association, which released its findings in third quarter 2025 Manufacturer CEO's Confidence Index report in Lagos, said the decline in credit, high energy costs, and foreign exchange liquidity constraints continued to weigh in on the performance of the rail sector despite modest gains in output and business confidence. Director General of MAN, Segun Ajayi, said the sector's resilience remained fragile as key constraints persisted. On a health news, the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu has reaffirmed Nigeria's commitment to ending tuberculosis by 2030 through concrete actions in line with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu. According to a statement issued by her media aide, Busola Kukoyi, the First Lady spoke as a special guest of honor at the 39th Stop TBT Partnership Board meeting held in Manila, Philippines. The First Lady explained to the gathering of over 180 participants from 47 countries that Nigeria is strengthening its commitment to reduce reliance on donor funding and build a resilient system to ensure no setback in ending TB by 2030. Still in health, the Casino Sexual Assault Referral Center says it has recorded about 110 cases of sexual assault since its establishment in December 2023. Out of the cases recorded within the period, 60 have been uploaded into the Child Protection Information Management System. The Permanent Secretary, Department of Girl Child Education and Child Development, Aminu Badaru Jikamshi, disclosed this at the opening of a 3-day training in Katsina. Reports say the training was organized by the department in collaboration with UNICEF for stakeholders from Jigawa, Kano, and Katsina State. We move now to sports where former Fenerbahce player Sahat Akin has named Galatasaray's Victor Osimhen as the greatest striker ever to grace the Turkish Super League. Osimhen enjoyed a stellar campaign last season while on loan at Galatasaray. The Nigerian international recorded 45 goal involvement in 41 appearances across competitions for Galatasaray. The 26-year-old, who has been impressive for Galatasaray so far this season, led his team to win the Turkish Super League title and the Turkish Cup. Still in sport, Harry Kane grabbed a double as Bayern Munich set a European record of 14 successive victories to start the season with a 4-1 win at Cologne in a German Cup second round on Wednesday. Kane's opener, an incredible curling strike on the turn, and a second-half header brought his tally to 22 goals in 14 games this season. Wingers Luis Diaz and Michael Olise also got on the score sheet for the 20-time German Cup winners. Clone Rena Eich scored the opener, which put Bayer behind for the first time in a match this season. Bayer's victory beat the record of 13 wins to start the season in all competitions set by Fabio Capello's AC Milan in 1992 to 1993, the previous best mark in Europe's top 5 leagues. On entertainment news, Nigerian indigenous rapper Olamide has opened up about his strategy in the music industry, revealing that identifying his audience was key. The local rapper Kuna explained that he is comfortable being an indigenous artist, stressing that he is not desperate for international validation. Speaking in a recent interview with Newsman, Olamide stated that he would not change his sound, his style, to appeal to a Westerner audience.